Not yet. He is maybe still in it right now, so not certain.
Are you at liberty to discuss some of the details, like who's performing it, where he's having it done?
I'd rather not. I have those, but I'll keep them aside. I'm sure it'll get out at some point, but right now I'll just let him get through the surgery.
There's been a lot of just questions about when his timeline is in terms of how many months. Can you at least share how many months he's expected?
No, don't. I'd rather get the information coming out of the surgery before you make any prediction on that stuff. But what we do know, you're expected to make a full recovery, and so encouraged by a lot of the things that would be available to him. But again, I don't want to put a timeline on it until we get more information after surgery today.
You expect him back here Thursday like normal if everything goes well today?
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, he one thing he wanted was to continue to be around, be at the games. So again, we'll see how it comes out of this. Maybe there's some soreness there, and he wants to keep some time to himself. But he and I had a good conversation last week, and he wanted to be very involved going forward.
We're watching the film. What did you make of Jake's performance? I mean, were there some throws he missed, some decisions he missed, or was he pretty solid?
There were some things that I was really pleased about. Okay, and number one, with the offensive line, impressed with the pass protection. Okay, we had 3 sacks. 2 of them, really, one of them was outside the pocket, way outside the pocket by a guy that wasn't even rushing. One of them was, we held the ball a little bit on that first third down of the game. And then one of them was just a communication between scheme and player at the very end where TJ Watt got his unblocked, and that one's on all of us. So aside from those 3 times, he was kept clean. I thought he was really sound in his decision making. You look at the normal downs in the first half, he was 8 of 10, with 7 of those being efficient, leading us down there, scoring a touchdown. So there were some things that I thought he handled very well. And there were some things that with the experience portion of things will really help him as he moves forward. And what I walked away is I was impressed with how he handled it on the sidelines and his demeanor in the game, and rebounding from a tough interception is difficult, and still have a lot of confidence in him moving forward. And again, it's always good for a game like that. You get a chance to step back and, kind of let the night go and have a chance to sleep on it, come back and watch the tape. And it's like, okay, there's some really positive things here that we can continue to build on.
After watching the tape, how much do you feel like the hidden yardage, field position has played a factor the last week?
I think it did in this game, and again, it's the kickoff return led to a touchdown for us. That's positive on our end. There were certainly some things, we had plenty of possessions in their territory with, resulting in a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 7, and we didn't convert. And that would lead to more opportunities. That would lead to more points. I thought, defensively, you just look at the scope of the game, and they'd held them to 3 points, I think, with 1:50 left in the 3rd quarter. And so, yeah, there's things that we need to shore up and be better at. But anytime you hold a team to 3 points, with seconds ticking off in the 3rd quarter is a good start. And now we just got to finish, and there's some things we can certainly clean up. But, your question was about the hidden yardage. There was opportunities there where, we kicked a touchback at the end of the half. That's some hidden yards right there. We pinned them down there one time on the 11, and that was their 20-yard run, where that kind of pile just moved forever, getting them out of there. And they ultimately got 3 points on that possession in the first half. So there were some opportunities, I think, in all 3 phases to capitalize on the hidden yardage portion of things that could have led us to potentially more points and allowed us to win the game that they capitalized on, and we did not.
Zach, have you felt like in AFC North games in particular this year, you guys have been physical enough in the trenches to stand up? I mean, obviously 0-4 suggests there's a lot of issues, but winning in this division, that's been something you guys have done. You've been surprised at that aspect of these division games?
I think you look at, our rush offense and our rush defense, particularly in this last game, and it's got to improve. It's giving up that many rushing yards and having that few of rushing yards on offense is not a great way to play the game, and it puts a lot of pressure in different areas. And so our guys take great pride in that and own up to that. And it's something we've got to continue to improve on. So I think that's just looking at the recent game, that's certainly something that's got to change as we go forward here in December, which is the time of year where injuries pile up for a lot of different teams, and the weather doesn't get better. And so you've got to be able to rely on those 2 areas, and we've got to be stronger there.
What do you connect that to? Is there something that you point to of why, kind of the trenches have had their issues in the division division this year?
The division question, I just got to answer it more relative to the season. And defensively, sometimes it's just being one step too late to fit in your gap. And that can bust out a 25-yard run as opposed to what could be maybe a 4-yard gain, 3-yard gain. And so there's some opportunities there that I think we can continue to clean up. And offensively, same thing. It's on the entirety of the offense and myself as a play caller to put ourselves in better position and get some dirty yards out of some tough spots sometimes. And when you go against Pittsburgh, it can be really, really dirty in there sometimes. And they certainly had a plan to force us to run the ball. Or to take away the run, to throw the ball. They were pretty hell-bent on doing that. And it can make it difficult, but you still have to find ways to do it, to take pressure off of everybody. And so those are things that we can't shy away from. And we've got to find a way to get more out of our run game on offense.
With the offense, like some things are some core principles for you guys, the run game in particular, how much does that change week to week? Or is it a core way you guys run the ball?
I think the nuts and the bolts are there of what we want to be, but it can evolve from week to week. You're going to see different defensive structures. They've got different strengths and weaknesses and different looks they're going to present to you that you try to take advantage of. And I thought 2 weeks ago we executed our run plan really well. And this week was just a challenge. And again, all of us, we weren't able to rise up to the challenge and get more out of it than what we needed to.
When you hired Frank, and everyone's talking about the wide zone, but like how much of you like install all the schemes in a very like holistic approach when you install the run game?
Yeah, we obviously try to fit the scheme to what our personnel does best. And so as that evolves over the years, your run and pass scheme both evolve. And that's not just particular to the run. I couldn't be more pleased with the people that we have and who we're doing it all with. And again, we just got to collectively, this game is what you look at because of how few rushing yards and few attempts and all that. I get it. We've got to be better there, but I do believe that we can turn that corner pretty quickly and have more efficiency and success there.
Is T. Higgins trending in a positive direction?
I think so. We'll see what we can get out of him this week as it goes. He's been working with the trainers and he'll continue to do that. We get an extra day, with Wednesday really being just a bonus day. And so we'll see where he's at. I think Cam Taylor-Britt fits in that category as well. Logan Wilson come out of the game, with a ankle sprain essentially. And so we'll see how he progresses through the week. And I think those are really the three main guys. If off the top of my head, I'm not thinking of everybody else, but those three guys will all have a chance. We'll just have to see how they participate in practice and what it looks like.
What do you thought about Zach Carter's season?
I think Zach Carter continues to make improvement. And so again, continuing to get opportunities and, we certainly need a lot out of that D-line room, and he's one of those young guys that continues to get some opportunities and needs to step up. And so again, there's things that you see that are really positive with him as a second-year player. Continue to make improvements and learn from those guys that are in front of him.
Miles flashed on the one sack, obviously.
Yeah.
Anything else you've seen from him or saw from him yesterday?
I think the same thing. I think you can really. There's a lot of guys that fit into that first and second year player category that we're relying on to play whether a starter role or a backup role, that you continue to see things that are really going to help us as a defense. And there's also some things that those guys are going to continue to learn from, where everybody in this league is going to make a mistake at some point that they learn from, and that's how they become a better player. And so when you got a lot of first and second year guys in the back end and some guys that are playing depth roles for us up front, there's a lot of the reasons why we draft him, why we like him here, and what their growth is continuing to be. And they're going to continue to learn from their experience, and that's going to be a positive thing for our team going forward.
Sam come through yesterday, okay?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly soreness there, but he fights through it and gives us what we need to.
What's your approach when something like the run game's struggling, or really in any part of the game, with things like gadget plays and things that are maybe outside of your normal core group of plays to spark things, or especially with a new quarterback? Is that something you would shy away from because you don't want to take something that's maybe a little bit that he's not prepared for?
Yeah, I think he was prepared for everything. There wasn't anything you took off the table for it. Here's where it really boils down to yesterday. When you have the low 40s in plays, that's as few as you're ever going to have in an NFL game. And so it really magnifies everything that happens. And we were 0 for 4 on third down in the first half. And so if you're able to convert, 2 of those drives or 1 of those drives, it gives us an opportunity to do a little bit more and maybe find a rhythm. Because sometimes in the run game, when you're playing a team like this, is you're going to get some 1s and 2s and 3s, and then it breaks open where you get to come back to a run and make the correction and get an 8 to 15 yard gain. That's kind of how it happens in games like this. Just felt like that opportunity never really got to us, with the way the second half played out. We had one great drive, ended in a turnover. The second drive, we got some movement, and then we were in really 2 minutes there in those last two. It happened pretty quickly for us. So, again, that can't be an excuse. We've got to find ways to get it out of it and have some success earlier, but also give ourselves an opportunity by converting some of those third downs to where now we can either get back to some runs or call some of the runs that you're mentioning, or maybe it's getting the ball in the perimeter a little bit and trying to do that. So it all works together. We didn't give ourselves a great chance with the limited opportunities we present ourselves, and we got to find a way on Monday night to be better at that.
Is the trophy between you and your brother still a thing? Will it be up for grabs?
It exists. It's in my dad's office in Norman. I think it's a great conversation piece in his office. It's not something that comes up between me and press. It was a fun thing to start 10 years ago when we were young, and obviously there's a lot of trash talking. Our rules have increased to where now, it's what's more important is preparing our teams, getting our teams ready, and it's still there. I know what the record is. Obviously, I want the Cincinnati Bengals to be the better team on Monday night. That's what's most important. But it's a fun thing for our family. It's something that they get a chance to talk about more so than Press and I.
You said preparing your team and getting your team ready. Is it more of a challenge, Zach, when this team's not used to having this record this late in the season, considering what they've done the last couple of years? Is it more of a challenge for you to keep them motivated, to keep them ready, to get them ready?
No, I think the motivation thing, I have not found that to be difficult to do. These guys understand what's still in front of them. There's still plenty of opportunity in front of us. And what I've learned, this team has faced adversity before. This isn't the first time. And part of what you appreciate about approaching December, being in a tough 3-game stretch here is you get a chance to learn way more about yourself and those around you during these times than when you're in a 3-game winning streak. And what this team has proven to me time and time again, and our coaching staff, is they're willing to fight through it and pull together and take ownership for the things that they can control and maintain a positive attitude that we've still got a good team. I showed them the missed opportunities on third down today on offense, the 3 points we've given up going into a minute left in the third quarter. Like, there's some things there we just got to capitalize on to propel ourselves to victory. And if we do that, there's a much better feeling today just because of 4 or 5 plays that go differently yesterday, as opposed to kind of what the feeling is, in the room right now where you've lost a big game like that. So I'm as excited as I've ever been to get this team to rally through this. And I know that they are too. And again, that's why I always mention the character in the locker room, because I sit there in the team meeting, I stare at the guys, and I feel really good about guys wanting to pull through this and making this a special season, overcome this adversity, because this is the time of year where you can look around and you can see the character of teams. It shows loud and clear. And I take a lot of pride in what this team shows, inside the locker room, outside the locker room, and the way that they represent this organization and are willing to fight through it. That's something that we take a lot of great pride in as we face adversity, and we'll continue to take pride in that.
What can you do to make this a special season?
Find wins, and it just find a way 1 week at a time. And so what better opportunity than prime time Monday night to maybe change a narrative that's occurred the last couple of weeks, because we haven't been on the winning side of things. And so what better opportunity to get ourselves back into it by finding a way to win on the road in prime time and, with our backs against the wall a little bit. And again, these guys will take great pride in that. And I think that we're going to see their best this week. And just thinking about it makes me excited, to take the field with these guys after 4 or 5 great days of work and go find a way to get a win, and change the narrative and find a way to keep playing meaningful football.
It was such an odd thing with the clock malfunction. I'm just curious, procedurally, who was keeping you abreast of how much time was left? I'm
glad you mentioned it, because it was very tricky. And at first I didn't understand, because the clock that I was looking at was maybe 5 or 6 seconds off, I guess, on the right side. And they kept telling me, what the time was. I kept saying, I don't care if it's 5 seconds off with 4 minutes left. I care about the play clock. But then I realized what they meant was all the clocks were shut off. So I looked up and I realized they were all blank. And so, yes, I do need to know that. So I had to race back and say, no, I do want the time, because if it is shut off completely, I do need to know the time. Those officials did an excellent job communicating. There's probably clips you can see where we're out on the field yelling, because there was a clip, with 2, we ran up. there was a play with over 240. We were trying to understand if the clock was under 240 and it was going to go to the warning or not. And they did a great job staying on top of it. The official on the sideline was the one communicating to us every second to Doug, and Doug was kind of relaying out on the headsets to everybody else, and to Sam Francis because he's upstairs, and we were in a 2-minute situation with 3 timeouts. And so it was certainly some adversity faced by both teams equally, and I thought the officials did a good job communicating it. I've never had that happen before, but I thought everybody kind of kept their poise, and Jake, I was counting down a make-believe clock. Okay, now it's all coming back to me. We were in a situation where we didn't have to snap the ball leading the 2-minute warning, and I was in his headset trying to count down 2:14, 2:13, 2:12 before my 15-second shut off to kind of give him some perspective, because we were in the middle of a drive, so he didn't give it a chance to fully understand where the clock. We never got to be on the sidelines and communicate all this. So I'd kind of forgotten about that, to be honest with you. And now you're bringing all these memories from that. It was a wild situation.